Hey guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Desiree and today I want to give you guys 10 tips for nursing school. 10 things that I feel like are super important that you need to know going into nursing school that I wish somebody had told me about, that I want to put you on game about before you get in there this semester. If this video is helpful at all or if you enjoy it, please subscribe down below and punch on that like button like this. First things first, I want to talk to you guys about fees. You will get like some type of schedule, syllabus type of thing with materials in there, and it should have a list of things you have to pay for. But you don't usually get that until closer to when school is about to start. So you're not aware of these extra fees that you're responsible for until there's a week before school starts. A lot of these fees include things like your testing platform, different programs that your school may use to upload vaccination records and stuff like that. So you need to have, I would recommend a cushion of anywhere between $250 to $300 for stuff like that, because what happens is a lot of that stuff is, you know, time sensitive. Like, you can't start clinical if you don't upload a full vaccination record by such and such time. Also, a lot of those programs do your background checks too, and you cannot start clinical unless you have that in. So you don't want to be struggling because you don't have that money available, because it's hard to just cough up $100, you know, to pay for that program if you weren't aware that you needed that. So like I said, there are fees that pop up that you may not know, that are time sensitive, that you're not aware of until you get in the program. So be mindful of that first and foremost, right off the bat, going into your nursing program. The next thing I want to talk to you guys is buying books versus renting books. I'm going to tell you this. In nursing school, you get a list of books at the beginning of each semester that's going to give you books that you need, that are required, and books that are recommended. Make sure you pay attention to that, because usually, like for me, I like to be prepared, so I buy everything I might need. I buy it. I don't really look to see if it's required or recommended, because it's not like in bold print, this is recommended. I mean, you don't have to have this. You usually, like, when you put your schedule in online, it'll pop up everything that you need, everything that goes with that class. Pay attention to that though, because they give you probably 2 to 3 books that aren't required, like test taking tips. A lot of them are different medication guides. Like one that was required for us was David's drug guide. But they also had other like medication guides that weren't required, but they recommended because it was helpful. I bought one. It was a test taking tip manual. And before I knew we didn't need it, class had already started. I had passed the deadline before I could take it back. So I was stuck with it and I didn't use it. So after that, I didn't buy them again. And I don't know anybody who bought them again. So just be aware of that, what is required and what is recommended. So going into deciding if you should rent or not, some of those books are used more than once. So you need to figure out, ask your instructor early on, is this a book that we are going to use later? If you don't need the book, again, I would recommend renting it. If you don't need the book again later in the program, I would recommend renting that book just for that semester. Some books, like this one that I have here, this Med-Surg book, we used this over and over again. All my Med-Surg came out of there, and I had about 2 semesters of Med-Surg. Some of my peds and OB came out of that. So that's a book that I would recommend you buy. Preferably used if you want to save more money, but don't go the cheap route with that and try to rent it, because you're gonna need it again. So if you pay $30, $40 to rent and you need it for 3 semesters, or by God, you needed your whole program, you're looking at $40, $80, $160 on a book or more, depending on how much it was to rent it. So with all that, could have just bought it and kept it. You don't want to rent something that you have to send back, which can be a hassle, and then have to re-rent it, get it back to you in time, and all that. My husband is like creeping in here. Okay, do you need something? He creeped back out. We're on the topic of books. How to read your book, how to pull information out of your book. I did not figure that out until my third semester, to be honest. That is something that I struggled with. I struggled with overstudying. I struggled with understudying. I struggled with, how I was studying, reading too much, reading too little, trying to tweak it and figure out what was important and why did I miss that information or whatnot. Remember this when you're reading. You're not a doctor. Don't read like a doctor. You're a nurse. You need to read like a nurse. You need to be able to understand what's going on and understand what you need to do as a nurse to treat that patient. Don't read it like you're a doctor, because you're not diagnosing these people. You need to know what they look like. You need to know how to treat them. So pay attention to stuff like signs and symptoms, nursing interventions, tests that are done, because that's stuff that applies to your job. That's something I struggle with, over reading stuff. So I would know a whole bunch of information, but I wouldn't get questions right on tests because I was reading too much into the book and I didn't know what to do as a nurse. I knew too much information. I knew nothing about how to intervene as a nurse. You also need to pay attention to the tables in the book. These tables, I don't know if you can see it. Those little tables, this right here, are gonna be in your book, book throughout. Same with these little yellow safety alerts, nursing priorities, critical thinking. You need to pay attention to those. A lot of the times the boxes highlight the important stuff. So if you don't have a lot of time to read, you can jump right to those boxes and pull out a lot of information that was scattered throughout the page that they condensed into that table. Make sure you read those. Make sure you know those. The next thing I want to talk to you guys about is building a relationship with your teachers. I know a lot of people are super quiet and super laid back and don't really like to put themselves out there. You have to get through nursing school. First of all, you may need a reference. When you graduate, a lot of jobs that you apply for, you're going to need a reference. And I know some people are working already and they have like supervisors and stuff that they already can use. So you might not be as pressed. But for me, I didn't work through nursing school, and I wasn't the only one who didn't work through nursing school. I have 2 kids. I really didn't have time to work. I was a stay-at-home mom, went to school. My husband worked. I didn't have any references but my teachers. So, and then a lot of your teachers worked or work now at those hospitals. It's almost guaranteed to get in because they'll figure if she likes you, you are probably, a good student. You're probably pretty good or whatever. So make sure you're building those relationships, and it doesn't have to be much. Just make sure you're making yourself, you're putting yourself out there. If it's just a, hi, how are you, when you walk into class. Also, you need to communicate early with your instructors. Nursing school is not something you want to go into willy-nilly and just like, I didn't do as well as I wanted to. We have 3 other tests that I can make that up on. If you're not doing well, you need to talk to them early because you need help. Nursing school tests are totally different than any other test you've taken. I don't care what your major was. If you wait, you don't do as well on test 1 and then test 2 rolls around and you didn't do as well, and then test 3, now you're in a bind because you need to do really well on the last test. They're not going to be so amped to help you because they figure you should have let me know this at the beginning of the program. I'm letting y'all know now because I know so many people who failed out when all they needed was to talk to somebody early on. Another thing I wanted to talk to y'all about is making sure you have a strong support system. Going into nursing school is super stressful. Life does not stop. They might have this conversation with you, while you're there your first day. I want to have it with you again because that might seem generic coming from them. I'm here to tell you life does not stop. I had a kid in nursing school. I had bad days with my husband in nursing school. I had all type of stuff going on while I was in nursing school. Nursing school is still there. You can't make it up. You need to have a strong support system, whether that be a boyfriend, a fiance, a husband, your mom, your grandma, a group of friends. You need to build that up before you get in because you're going to need it. It gets tough. You're going to spend a lot of time studying. You're going to be stressed out. That's not even including stuff that can go on outside of your school situation, like family life and different stuff like that, family members passing away. So make sure that you set up a support system for yourself before going into nursing school. What I want to talk to you about now is studying. Not reading the book, but studying. Everything outside of reading the book. One thing I did that I recommend you do is record the lecture. Repetition is key. That helps out a lot. If you go through and you feel like you don't need it, or you were pretty on board with what they were saying in class and you don't feel like listening to it again, delete it. But, as you progress in the program, stuff is going to get more in depth. And trust me, you're going to want to have had a copy of what was said so you can go back and look over it. Because you might walk out the classroom and still not know a damn thing about what they're talking about. Studying in a group versus studying alone. I prefer studying alone. You. If you like to talk a lot, I would not recommend studying in a group. That's me. I run my mouth a lot. So I never studied in a group. You are not going to have time, I guarantee you, to, sacrifice 3 hours studying with a group and it's wasted time. You're going to be so upset. Your life is going to be so busy once you start. Trust me. You need to know what works best for you. I know some people who had study groups and did really well, but everybody is not the same. So if you're that type of person that you do better solo, you know that because you run your mouth a lot or whatnot, don't waste your time trying to meet up and discuss something because you're going to waste valuable time that you could have been studying and getting a lot more done and a lot more accomplished. Do not study in class before your test. Before our test, everybody would come in and they would flick through notes and talk about, oh, I thought it said this, or I thought this meant this, this value is this. Then when you get on the test, you don't know. You're not confident in what you know. So study when you get home. Do not study. It's just going to make your anxiety go through the roof. Do not study the day of the test when you get in the class. You can study outside in your car. You can study walking in. I used Quizlet. That was my thing. Use it. I loved it. You can take it with you. But do not study when you get in your classroom with everybody else. Don't do that. During clinical, be professional. Take clinical super serious because not only is that an opportunity for you to potentially meet an employer, first of all, you don't know if you're going to go back there in later on and want to work there. There were floors that I was on that when I first started, I don't care. I'm not doing med surg. I don't care. I won't see them again. I work at a med surg floor now. And I was going into women and children's health. I wanted to go into labor and delivery. I didn't really care where I went. Postpartum, NICU, or antepartum. And I'm in med surg because that's just how my cards played out. So I've always been an impressionist. And what I mean by that is not so much talking, but being a go-getter. If opportunities come up to try skills, I'm there. I'm doing it. Be like that. Have that spirit. I didn't know what I was doing. I don't have any type of medical background. I've never done anything, in the medical field, but I'm going to try it. If it comes up, you have a chance to put a catheter in, you have a chance to do an IV, even if you don't feel confident. If it comes up and you have the opportunity, please take it. You're going to learn so much That's your only opportunity that you have to try those skills. Be early to class. Do not lollygag. Do not be late. A lot of the times they give points at the beginning of class. We would have pop-up quizzes at the beginning of class. And if you're 5 minutes late, you don't have those 5 points. Those 5 points may be the deciding factor between you passing on to the next semester, you failing. So get to class early. They give out a lot of good information at the beginning of class that they don't repeat again. It's just brief, maybe a couple minutes. So you want to be there. You don't want to miss that. Be to class early. Your hair. I want to talk to y'all real quick about y'all hair. My hair is very thick. The styles that I wear my hair in, you know, vary. So one thing that you want to be aware of, even if, you know, however the texture of your hair is, if it's straight down or if it's thicker and more textured, in nursing school, they want it neutral. Even if your hair is straight, you need to be aware of this because you can't have blue hair. You can't have bright red hair. You can't have ombre with green at the bottom because they're going to send you home, and I don't want you to waste money on that. My girls that wear braids, they don't want beads. They don't want thread. They don't want a braid coming this way that you can't tuck back and be able to put in a ponytail. Yes, it's irritating, but it's just the truth. Stuff you need to think about before you get into nursing school. One thing good though, once you graduate, a lot of the hospitals don't be on that. Like where I work at, of course I don't wear my hair like this because I just don't like my hair in my face when I'm working, but they're not as strict on that. But in nursing school, for sure, you want to make sure you're aware of that before going in because like I said, you don't want to waste money. You don't want to spend $150 on braids, $200 on braids to go in and have to take them all back down. You don't want to spend $200 on getting an ombre or getting blue put at the tips or red hair to go in and them tell you, I'm sorry, but that's not a natural color. We can't have that. You know, you can't wear that. Your hair needs to be able to fit in a ponytail behind your head with no stragglers in nursing school. So if it can't fit that, the hairstyle probably not gonna work. If it's not a natural color, the hairstyle is probably not gonna work. I came in on multiple occasions with a very cute hairstyles, might I add, that I could not wear and was sent home to fix. So be aware of that. The last thing I want to talk to y'all about before I end this video are scrubs. Get your scrubs early. They also want you to put a monogram on them a lot of times. That can take a while. So you don't want to be stressed out about that coming in if you wait too late and you have clinical like the next week or the next couple weeks and your top isn't back. So make sure you get your scrubs early as possible so you can get that monogram on there and everything's all set to go whenever school starts and clinical begin. You don't want to fail nursing school over clinical points. If you fail, you want to fail over classroom points. But that's a whole nother discussion. Thank y'all for joining me today. I hope those tips help out and help you get better prepared for nursing school. If you like this video at all, please subscribe down below and punch on that like button. Bye.